What's up, Triumph Nation? This past week taught us it's not just about who wins, it's about how they get there. Let's break it down.
Let's get it rolling. Let's touch on Thanksgiving Day games. The Cowboys were able to pick up the win over the Kansas City Chiefs in a 31-28 victory. The theme of that game pretty much is that the Cowboys offense was ultimately just able to overwhelm the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Two number one wide receivers, that's going to do it to you. So those guys both had an amazing game. Dak Prescott, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was not an easy game at all, especially with it being such a pivotal game for both teams. But ultimately, Cowboys were able to pull through. And then we're able to watch the Packers pull off a victory against the, damn it,
Lions. Well, yeah, the game before that we had Packers and Lions. Final score was 31-24. First sight at that, you're thinking it's probably a close game. It really wasn't as close as the final score showed. The Packers pretty much dominated the whole game. The Lions lost St. Brown in the second quarter. He got rolled up on and his ankle got messed up, so he was out for the rest of the game. And then, Gibbs didn't do too much either, thinking St. Brown going out, they're going to rely heavily on the rushing attack. But we didn't see too much production from Gibbs. He was kind of quiet. And that's usually how it is with the Lions and Packers. When they match up and play, Gibbs doesn't do too much on the ground. But Isaac Tesla, he's a rookie wide receiver. He's played really well this season. He played really well in the preseason. That's how I got to know him. So, yeah, he stepped up yesterday. He had a beautiful touchdown reception, diving touchdown reception, which was nice. And then a couple other stats. Micah Parsons, he's going to do his thing. He had 2.5 sacks, so he was really just a disruptor the whole game. Every time you see Goff dropping back, Mike is right there to welcome him with open arms. So that left Goff, tiptoeing the whole game. And then, the star for me of the show was Love. I mean, Love's hard to figure out. He's hard to dissect, but really in the big games he steps up a lot. When they played the Lions yesterday, he had 4 touchdowns, so that was just a phenomenal performance by him.
Yeah. I mean, the Packers definitely trending upwards, and that's going to have a lot of implications for the playoff picture. So we'll get more into that, but first let's get into some UFC. More specifically, UFC in 2026. The first card is absolutely loaded. This is going to be the first Paramount production for the UFC after their new deal. And that main event is featuring Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, which is the greatest woman of all time returning for a championship bout against her former teammate. So, I mean, that one is just exciting as the main event. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. Sean O'Malley, former champion, going against good mainstay in the division, Song Yadong. So it's going to be an exciting one. Song Yadong definitely has the power to put your lights out. Sean O'Malley as well. And then you have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo. And that's just another high-level fight, high-paced fight. And, man, they're starting the year off with a bang. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited, super excited.
But before we get too far ahead, let's go ahead and go over. We have one more pay-per-view this year, and that is going to feature Merab Dvalishvili versus Peter Yan. This is going to be the second time they are fighting. This is going to be the rematch, Dvalishvili now being the champion in the bantamweight division. So, next on the card, we have Alexander Pantoja versus Joshua Van in the flyweight division. Following, we're going to have Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira, and then Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. So right now what we're going to do is make some picks. I'm going to go ahead and go first. Dvalishvili in the main event versus Petr Yan. I'm going to have to roll with Merab Dvalishvili. This guy is on a roll. I forget how many wins in a row he's at right now, but it is a lot, so I can't imagine him slowing down. I know Petr Yan being a former champion, a gritty guy with great cardio, he's going to put up a challenge against Merab Dvalishvili, but I think ultimately it's going to end up like the rest of his fights. In the 3rd and 4th round, he's just going to be able to overwhelm him. And I think I even see possibly a finish in maybe the 4th or 5th. So What are you
Yeah,
thinking?
you know, I'm right there with you. I got Dvalishvili. You look at the top 10 rankings, he's fought and beat almost every single body, every single one on the top 10 listing. So, yeah, I think he's going to continue that streak against Yang for the second time. So I'm feeling pretty confident about Dvalishvili. And then Potaja, you know, I'm a newbie. So we're getting into names and we're getting to UFC and we're getting to all of it. So I'm going to butcher some names and that's just a part of it. But I'm going with Van because that's a lot easier to pronounce. No, I'm kidding. But I am seriously going with Van just because he's a lot younger. He's over 10 years younger than the other guy. So I'm picking the youth and the explosiveness of youth to take over in this fight.
Yeah, and if there's one thing Joshua Van is, it is explosive. I mean, you saw that in his last win over Brandon Royval. Ultimately, I'm going to pick Pantoja. This guy is just a killer. He's been a killer in the division for a very long time. We saw what he did to Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, and I don't think this one's going to go any other way. I think his experience at the end of the day is ultimately going to take over. We haven't had any reason to think Pantoja would do anything else from my standpoint. So that's what I have for you. Moving on next, let's make one more pick. Brandon Moreno versus Tetsuro Taira. I mean, that's going to be a really good one with title implications. Obviously, if Pantoja ends up winning, he has, I think, 3 wins over Brandon Moreno. So Brandon Moreno probably is not going to get that title shot. But if Van wins, I mean, that opens things wide up. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Moreno over Taira. He's a former champion. He's shown some really good footage in his last fights. I don't know if he's the same person he was during his championship run. He's definitely evolved as a fighter, but I definitely think he is still top 2, top 3 in the world. So what are you thinking?
I'm going with Moreno because I remembered his name. Also, like you were saying, he is super competitive. He's been there. He's done that. He's a great fighter from what I've seen. So, yeah, he unfortunately probably won't get his chance at another title, but I'm going with Moreno.
Yeah, those are our picks for December 6th. So let's get into some NFL. Let's start with that Ravens game.
Oh, you talk about a shit show. You know, Ravens started the season very poorly, un-Raven-like, you know, and they've battled their way back to get up to 500, and now they lost last night against the Bengals, of all people. But that's just how division games happen. The Bengals had Joey B back. He played actually quite well. His percentage for throwing wasn't the best. It was around 50%. But when you get somebody in like Joey B, you get him back in the office, you get him back in the building, what that does for the whole team and what it does for the organization, you have the belief, we got this guy here, he's playing, we can go out and win against anybody. So surprising, yes, in the way that they won, because the Ravens, they had 5 turnovers. You can't win a game when you have 5 turnovers, you know?
Yeah,
so,
for sure. And you talked about something like the Ravens. It's just not very common to see them in the position they're in this season, definitely for a Harbaugh coach team. So you definitely thought they were going to put up more of a fight. Definitely, especially with the Bengals playing like they have been. But like you say, Joe Burrow being back, Jamar Chase, both of them on the field at the same time, you always have a chance. All right, guys, now let's get into some NFL hot takes. So why don't you go ahead and start it off?
yeah. So for hot takes, I kind of thought of some categories I could choose, and I ended up choosing what's the most surprising team, or who is the more surprising team this year? I thought about it and reflected on this past year. It was between the Rams and the Bears, and I got to go with the Bears. They've had some triumphant moments, which is what we're all about, especially today, beating Philadelphia. But just to kind of talk about them a little bit, they're 9-3. They just beat Philly today, as I said, 24-15. Caleb, he has thrown for over 2,500 yards. He's got 16 touchdowns, nothing too crazy. He's got 4 interceptions, which I love to see. But the biggest thing for me is he's only taken 17 sacks. So that's just telling me, he's got a really good offensive line in front of him and protecting him. Just to talk about some of the guys. They went and got this past year Drew Dahlman. He was the center for Atlanta. And they also got Joe Tooney. So Joe Tooney started his career in England, and then he got traded to the Chiefs, won a couple Super Bowls with them. I went over Caleb's passing yards. So I'm going to talk about the rushing attack. And it's really just a three-headed monster right now. You got Swift, you got Manangai, which is a rookie. He was a 7th-round pick. So he's been a surprise just throughout the league. And then you got Caleb. So Swift has 649 yards, 4 touchdowns. He missed a couple games. Manangai filled in for him. He's got 461 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then Caleb, he's racked up almost 300 yards himself and 3 touchdowns. So when you have a mobile QB like Caleb, that helps a lot with the offense. And Ben Johnson, he is a dog. I was a little skeptical about how he would perform as a first-year head coach, but we watched a clip of him earlier today after their big win over the Eagles, and the energy he brought in that locker room, he just is super hyped. He had his shirt off. He was getting down and getting dirty, and as a player, that's somebody you want to play for. That much passion and energy. You want to play for somebody like that. And he's got that offense rolling. So their defense, fun fact, they've got more takeaways than they do sacks, which is not something you see every day. They got 23 sacks. They have 25 takeaways. 16 of those are interceptions and 8 fumble recoveries. So that defense is, they'll bend, but they don't really break, and they have a lot of takeaways. So as good as Matthew Stafford and Nakua has been and Adams has been, I just have to go with the Bears. What about you?
Yeah, that's super interesting. I completely agree with you. The Bears definitely have been the most surprising team in the NFL this year. I was not expecting Ben Johnson to put out this kind of a product in his first season, so super impressive. Are you anticipating them going pretty far in the playoffs this year, or what are you thinking for this team?
Initially, yes, that was my thought, but then I started looking at their remaining schedule. They have Green Bay twice, so that's going to be very tough because Green Bay is right there with them in that division. Right. And to me, Green Bay is more of the complete team, and they got Micah Parsons. So I feel more comfortable with LaFleur and that Green Bay offense and defense than I do the Bears. But I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs.
For sure, yeah. Well, that's some good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and go into my hot take. My hot take pretty much is that the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. So it's not anything crazy. But it is when you look at it from the standpoint that these guys were at one point, I think it was 3-5-1. So to see them claw their way back into playoff contention, right now they are 3-1 in the division. That's the best within the division. They did end up taking that win over the Eagles, who are 2 games ahead of them, with 5 games left in the season. So it's wide open. We've seen plenty crazier things happen. I think a lot of the NFL world has written this team off, but for me, when I look at it, they are the most dangerous team in the NFL right now as far as how unpredictable they are. They have one of the best wide receiver duos that I've seen in my lifetime. The way George Pickens is playing right now, the all-world talent that we know CeeDee Lamb is, it's a tough ask for any defense in the NFL right now. So me being from the area, loves to see it. Like I said, only time will tell how it's going to shake out, but I definitely have them making some noise as we get into the tail end of the season and even possibly getting 1 or 2 playoff wins under their belt.
I'm right there with you. It's pretty cliche, and it's like Boy Who Cried Wolf, because Cowboys fans are always super optimistic and sometimes overly. But there's something different about this Cowboys team for the 2025 season. I've beaten the drum again. They're a resilient team, like we've talked about. So they're a super scary team right now. Yesterday was basically a playoff game, and they played outstanding. They really dominated the Chiefs towards the end of that game.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, let's go ahead and get into some power rankings this week. So we're going to go ahead and do our top 5 NFL teams. We're going to bounce back and forth between me and him. I'll go ahead and start off, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
At my number 5 spot, this may be pretty surprising, and you probably disagree with me, but I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. A lot of people probably are going to have these guys up higher on the list, but for me, I take experience a lot into account in these decisions. Caleb Williams is not the most experienced quarterback, and we'll see that as we get farther up this list. But yeah, I got them at number 5. You spoke a lot to what their team has put out, a lot of their stats and what they're able to accomplish. They're on a, 5-game win streak right now, so they're not showing any signs of slowing down. But you saying they have two matchups with the Green Bay Packers, who are a high level organization this year. So yeah, I have them at number 5. They are doing really great things, but I just think when we talk of the standpoint of power rankings, who are the best teams playing right now, I've got a couple teams ahead of them. Who do you got for number 5?
Well, I'm going to sound like a complete ass right now because at number 5, I have Green Bay.
Okay.
I was torn. I wanted to put the Bears in my top 5, and I'm giving you a little sneak peek of who I don't have in my top 5.
Okay.
I put them at 6, but that's for another day. So it was back and forth between them and Green Bay. Ultimately, I had to go with Green Bay, just like I touched on earlier. They're a tried and true team. They've got a lot of veterans. They got a lot of dependable players on that defense. And Jordan Love, there was a lot of talk about will he be able to carry the reins when Aaron Rodgers left. And, he spent several years behind Aaron Rodgers, so he learned a lot of what Aaron Rodgers found successful, and he incorporated that with his own game, and he's been really impressive. So the addition of Micah Parsons to that defense and that team has really put them over the top for me. Not quite above number 5 yet, but Green Bay at number 5, I'm pretty confident with that. Let's roll on to number 4.
Yeah. So at number 4, I've got, you just touched on it, the Green Bay Packers. And what I've got written right here is Jordan Love and Micah Parsons. You said it. Both these guys are instrumental to their team's success, leading the charge for their team on both sides of the ball. So I don't have to say I have much more to add to that. These guys are playing good, looking good, and I don't see them slowing down. It would be really interesting to see the Bears beat them in one or both of their matchups, but I don't really see it happening, which is why I put them at 4 above the Bears. And yeah.
Well, my number 4 is the Colts, and I absolutely hate that I had to put the Colts in the top 5 power rankings, but I had to. Even though they're a division rival, and as a Texas fan, you hate the Colts, you have to respect game and give respect where respect is due. Steichen has that team rolling on offense and defense. They've made some power moves at the trade deadline, acquiring Sauce Gardner, giving up a lot of trade volume too for him. So Danny Dimes has that team rolling. Yeah, he's hurt, but I think he still can do some damage on our defense. But yeah, you got Jonathan Taylor, you got Michael Pittman, you've got Alec Pierce, who is a super deep threat in the receiving game. So that Colts team is very dangerous. And yeah, they've kind of hit a slump the past couple weeks, but I think they're going to turn that around. They have the experience. This is a somewhat younger team, but I feel like they're going to ride that energy all the way into the playoffs. And then, all right, let's go on to number 3.
Yeah. So who I've got for number 3 is the Seattle Seahawks. These guys just bounced back with a win this week. I love the way these guys are playing. Sam Darnold at the helm. He's making the right decisions. He's continued his success that he had in Minnesota. This team has a 107-point win differential. And yeah, they're looking really good going into the tail end of the season. They are fighting for that top spot with the Los Angeles Rams, who we're probably going to see here at the top end of these power rankings with the way that they're playing. But yeah, they're looking good, man. That's who I'm rolling with at number 3.
All right, that's a great pick at number 3. My number 3, I got the Broncos. The only reason they're not higher is I do not trust that offense whatsoever. I was a believer in that Broncos offense coming into the season because of what Bo Nix did last year in his rookie season. I thought he was going to ride that rookie wave, but he in fact has hit that sophomore slump. So the only thing that's holding back that Broncos team is their offense, unfortunately. Their defense is top 5. It's probably top 2, in all honesty, in the league. You got Patrick Surtain coming back from IR, so that team is getting their pieces back and getting it together just in time. So I'm hoping, but not hoping at the same time, that their offense can finally get clicking, just because that defense is damn near generational talent and generational level. So you hate to see those good defenses kind of be wasted on poor offenses. So I'm hoping they can turn it around and get it going.
Yeah, I mean, You talked about it, Bo Nix. That's the number one reason they're not in my power rankings right now. Just really unpredictable. He had a really good season last year, strong showing, but it's not something that I'm going to rely on right now to put in my power rankings. I love the record. It looks beautiful. Sean Payton's got them ready to play every week. Got that defense ready. So, yeah, they're off of my list, but it's a great selection. I mean, you can't go wrong there. So, for number 2, we've got the New England Patriots. These guys are on a 9-game win streak. I mean, it's tough to do that in any league, especially the NFL. These guys have a 92-point differential, 3-0 in the division, undefeated away. So at 10-2, it's going to be hard to beat this team. Drake May is playing at an MVP level. Mike Vrabel is playing coaching like he knows what he's doing. So, I mean, no questions there. 9-game win streak. I mean, that's all I have to say. They're at number 2 in my rankings.
I, in fact, have been going back and forth in my head, even currently, like right now as we're doing it, between New England and Seattle, and I realized I don't even have Seattle in my top 5. So I marked it in and then I marked it out because you know what? Screw it. I am going with New England also at number 2.
Okay.
Mike Vrabel has already won Coach of the Year with the Titans several years ago, and I think he can win it again this year because this is his first year in New England. He is everything you love about a head coach. He is a player's coach. He cares about his players. Hell, he even gets into the drills with his players. He loves his fans. He didn't have much of a power struggle at all, you know. It's a hard-nosed way of coaching. He's a badass coach. He's somebody you can get behind and, you know, run through a brick wall for. So he's got Drake May at the helm, and Drake May has just been an absolute dog this year. They haven't really played too much competition, and that's like the biggest argument for them for why, they're 10-2. Well, look at the teams they played. They got the Jets. They played the Raiders. But, you know, you think about the NFL, nothing's guaranteed every week for these teams. You know, you could lose and be the number 1 seed, and you could lose in the wild card to the wild card team. So, you know, nothing is guaranteed at all any day of the week. So, New England, number 2. I'm staying firm because that team, they got it going, and it's really impressive.
Yeah. Love to hear it. So number 1, surprise, surprise, I've got the LA Rams. I mean, these guys are 9-2, 5-1 at home, 127-point differential on a 6-game win streak. Matthew Stafford, I mean, this guy is playing lights out. It's almost like he's getting better with age. I mean, you see that a couple times. Seen it with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, like you mentioned before. I mean, this guy, he's killing it right now, and I'm going to ride his back all the way to the Super Bowl. I really think these guys can make it deep, and it just seems it's crazy. It seems that Sean McVay always finds a way to get his team into the playoffs, and not only that, have major success in the playoffs. So I'm not thinking this season is going to be any different. I mean, this guy is up there with all of the other generational coaches, and when you have an MVP caliber quarterback at the helm, I mean, that's a killer duo, to say the least.
I got the Rams also at number 1. To touch on some of Matthew Stafford's stats, he's got a little over 2,800 yards, which is not super impressive. It's right about average for this time of the year, of the season. He's got 30 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Those 2 numbers really stick out to me. That just tells me he's really decisive with where he's going, and you can really see that every time you watch them play. He knows where he's going. He trusts his people on the outside. You got Nakua, and you got Devontae Adams. And Devontae Adams, you know, he's no pushover either. He's got 12 touchdowns this year. 12. And we're in week 13. So I can't remember the last time Devontae Adams had 12 touchdowns. It's been probably 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. So it's really good to see him rejuvenate his career out in L.A. So, yeah, you got that defense. They got 31 sacks. They've got 20 takeaways. You got Jared Verse. You got Byron Young, 2 cyborgs. You know, they're not – I'm not going to say they're as good as Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson. I'm a little biased, but they're pretty damn close. I agree with you. Sean McVay knows how to win, and he's won a Super Bowl already. Why not make it 2 in 2025? So, yeah, I got them at number 1.
Yeah. Well, that runs out the top 5. Now we're going to move on to another segment. We're going to get into the coaching hot seat. We're going to do this every week, talk about, who's in the coaching hot seat. Obviously, that's a revolving seat, but right now we have one coach. Since Daywall has left the room, left the building, there's one guy sitting there left, and that guy is Pete Carroll. That's who I have. Geno Smith is not helping the situation, but man, things are not looking good over for the Raiders. These guys are 2-9 right now, and we're not seeing any light at the end of the tunnel at this point. They have 112 negative point differential. These guys are just all around bad. I mean, what do you even add to that? Pete Carroll, he is holding on only by his legacy at this point. I mean, he's a great coach in college, in the NFL. He's shown that before. Ultimately, I just don't think they have the right pieces around them. I mean, Geno Smith, he's a capable quarterback. We've seen that, but he's just not showing it this season.
Yeah.
I mean, thoughts?
I mean, like you were saying, Pete Carroll just needs to save his legacy. He came out of retirement this year, and he is a highly qualified coach. Did very well at USC in college, and he did really well with the Seahawks. I mean, he's just an amazing generational talent at coach. But he's 74 years old. Like I said, he came out of retirement. You see the clips of practice, and he looks timeless, but I think he does need to save his legacy, and it just reminds me of, like, him and Bill Belichick. They both came out of retirement. You both ride that wave of optimism and positivity because of their legacies, and both of them have had crappy years, just embarrassments in the record column. So I agree, bottom offense, bottom defense, bottom special teams. I mean, good God. I mean, any way you splice it, they're just an overall terrible team, and the only above average player I can think of that they have on their team right now is Max Crosby. And Max Crosby can't do it all. And we've been proving that he just can't do it all, even a talent like that. So
Yeah, it's just all around for them. The defense can hold it together. The offense, I mean, Geno Smith is sitting at 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and 41 sacks. So the line isn't protecting him. I mean, you had a lot of optimism going into the season, especially with them getting Ashton Genty. You were hoping maybe he could get some things running, but, I mean, these guys are swallowing him up before he even gets across the line of scrimmage, so you can't do much with that. Raheem Mostert, I mean, he's a veteran in the game. This guy isn't getting anywhere either. And this is after we saw him have some really good seasons over in Miami. So, yeah. I mean, we know a couple of these guys can play. Brock Bowers, he played 8 games this season. He's not doing much of anything. So, like I said, it's not looking good for them. It's not looking good for Pete Carroll. And I think that's about all we're going to touch on that.
Well, I'll keep going a little bit. Yeah. Although it's making me very sad, they fired Chip Kelly this past week.
Yeah, I heard that.
So that, and hearing some things about players saying he didn't even know what play calls were or what the play calls were for Pete Carroll's system. So, and you could see it in the games. Players didn't know what the hell they were doing. Geno didn't know what the hell he was doing. There's no cohesive protection for him up front.
You say Chip Kelly, he's obviously had some great success in the college football arena, but man, this guy has like 9 lives. Every time I think he's done in the NFL, he keeps getting another chance. And again, he's done great in college, but the NFL is just, it's not panning out for him wherever he goes. If you go to the Raiders, I mean, you can't be that optimistic, judging by their ownership and what you've seen in the past. And that kind of stuff goes hand in hand with any organization, right? Yeah. Their legacy kind of defines them. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Coaching hot seat. That's how we got here. Pete Carroll, good luck to you. Hopefully they turn it around in the last 5 games, give them some hope. But I'm not seeing it happening. So.
Just go enjoy your retirement, Pete. Please. Yeah. We love you too much.
And this is after, sorry, but he was teaching classes. I don't know if he's still doing this, teaching classes at college as he is still being the head coach in the NFL. I don't know if that's still continuing, but if it is, I mean, that's not helping his case
I would hope
either.
not.
All right, this leads us to our next segment, our triumphant moments. And my triumphant moment's going to be one from last week. I didn't touch on it in the past episode, so I'm going to do it today on our triumphant moment. That is, and I'm sure you've seen the clips and seen the videos from this game, Elijah Clark. He's the gunner for Dallas. Man, you talk about never giving up on a play. So he's out on the gunner. They're punting. He got manhandled by the opposite player, just thrown to the ground twice, multiple times. And he stayed on his feet. He kept going. He never gave up, rushing down the field. And he ended up making the tackle and causing a fumble on the returnee. So that to me just shows, what we're all about, resilience. You might get knocked down, you might get beaten up, but are you really going to give up? No, you're not going to give up, because that is the beautiful thing about our triumph.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Elijah Clark in that play. I mean, that is the epitome of what we like to call a triumphant moment. I mean, this guy, it's just a great metaphor for life. You get knocked down over and over, and you get back up. And I think what a lot of people run into is they get knocked down that first time, and they give up. They don't get back up. And you see, I mean, a player like Elijah Clark, I mean, who's on special teams, if he stays on the ground there, that can change his career. I mean, he could be cut from the team, but this guy decided to get up not once but twice and make a game-changing play, which ultimately allowed the Cowboys to pull away and take that win. So you couldn't have picked a better moment.
Yes, I agree.
So for my moment, I guess we'll call it a stretch. I'm going to have to go with the Dallas Cowboys, not just the win that they took in the Thanksgiving Day game, but the win that they had over the Philadelphia Eagles. Ultimately, why I picked this was just because they had so many debilitating losses so many times at this point in the season. Cowboys fans, everyone in the NFL universe thought this team was down and out, that there's no way these guys are making the playoffs, especially in that first half of the season where they were missing CeeDee Lamb for that long stretch of time. But for these guys to just be able to scratch and claw, Brian Schottenheimer in his first season as head coach, I mean, these are when NFL coach careers are defined in these first seasons like this. I mean, this team could easily be 3-8, something crazy like that. So for these guys to scratch and claw in these close victories, it says a lot about the team. It says a lot about the coach to be able to instill this fight in this team. For Dak Prescott as a leader, I mean, he's one of the highest criticized guys in the NFL, and this guy just shows up every day and does what he does. Not that he's perfect. He's going to throw a pick or two, but ultimately he's either going to shoot his way in for the win or shoot them out of the game. So you can't be mad at that. I mean, that's a similar play style of Brett Favre. I mean, he's going to throw you in the game or throw you out, but he's not just going to stand there. So you can say that about Dak Prescott. And yeah, I just think it's triumphant. I mean, they could definitely have quit on the season. I mean, but they didn't. So
no. And yesterday's game against the Chiefs, it felt like a playoff game. We don't get too many of those games on Thanksgiving Day, especially. So just to see the competitiveness and never giving up. The Chiefs went up after the interception that Dak threw in the first drive, and you're like, oh, Cowboys fans, here we go again. And the Chiefs drove right down the field and scored on a 27-yard touchdown reception, and you thought that would have sealed the deal, but nope. And that's why it's so important, we chose, G chose this as his triumphant moment, because no matter what's thrown at you, no matter what happens in the game, you're not going to give up. And the Cowboys didn't give up. They kept fighting, and they took the lead eventually, and they didn't give up the lead. And that says a lot about their character. That says a lot about that organization. And Schottenheimer, he's got them rolling.
yeah.
So we want to hear about your triumphant moments. We shared some of ours, and we'd love to hear yours. See you all in the next one.